Brittany Cartwright shares an unexpected home update, May 2025. Brittany Cartwright is having a little bit of a problem in her house in the Valley that she shares with her son, Cruz Kachi. The Valley cast member has been working on making her house her own, following her split from her ex, Jax Taylor, but she is running into a slight issue involving her green thumb. Brittany took to her Instagram story earlier this week, where she revealed that her houseplants, which she has named Joey and Elvira, have been suffering, which is really upsetting to her. She then called on her Instagram followers for some advice to help save her plant babies. "Help, my plants are dying and it's breaking my heart," she wrote over the photos. "I've had these two babies since my last apartment for almost 8 years. They have the names Elvira and Joey. Joey is taking the hit more than Elvira at this moment, lol." She continued, revealing that her newly adopted cat, Lola, has really taken a liking to the plants since she came into their family in November of last year. "My cat Lola, love her but started using them as a litter box, and now they aren't thriving to their full potential anymore," she noted. How Brittany Cartwright's dad helped her with her house issues. Luckily, Brittany's dad was able to come to her rescue during a recent trip to Leh. The Kentucky native detailed how her father came up with a few ideas to stop the cat from using the plants. "My dad visited recently, and he repotted them both with new soil and fertilizer, and placed orange peels and rocks over the top, and she hasn't used it there since. She's back to the litter box, lol," Brittany admitted. "But OMG, what else can I do? I'm feeling so sad about my plants, lol. What else can I do to bring them back?" One of her Instagram followers recommended taking some clippings from the plant, placing them in water, and watching the roots grow, which is something that her dad had already tried, she admitted. "My dad said the same thing and nothing has happened. Maybe it will in time," she concluded. Brittany Cartwright opens up about her design aesthetic at her house. Since Brittany grew up on a farm in Kentucky, it's only fitting that she likes to bring a bit of greenery inside her living space. During a May 10 episode of her podcast, Briefing on Bravo, Brittany opened up about how she incorporates the vibe of her native state in every single place she has lived in, even though she is not quite ready to move back to Kentucky. "I feel like every house that I've lived in, I like to add Kentucky to it," she said. "Like farmhouse vibes, no matter where, it's got to match me." While her cat might have killed her indoor plants, Brittany has always had an active green thumb. In 2020, Brittany took to her Instagram story, where she posted photos of her newly planted flowers, which she did in her outdoor garden. Brittany Cartwright shares an unexpected home update, a green thumb's struggle and heartfelt lessons, May 2025. Brittany Cartwright had always been someone who embraced change with a quiet strength. Life hadn't always been the easiest for her, from moving to California to being thrust into the public eye with the roller coaster ride of Vanderpump Rules, to the personal challenges she faced after her split with Jax Taylor. But through it all, Brittany maintained a calm sense of resilience, always working to make her home a peaceful place for herself and her son, Cruz Kachi. In May of 2025, Brittany shared an unexpected and heartfelt update with her followers. It wasn't about some major renovation or new lifestyle change, but instead a rather vulnerable post about her struggles with her houseplants. Yes, those leafy companions that she had lovingly nurtured over the years. The plants had names, Joey and Elvira, and for Brittany, they were more than just decor. They were her little green buddies, something from her past life that she had carried with her. But in this chapter of her life, things were going a bit awry. The plants, once thriving in the warmth of her previous homes, were now showing signs of distress. She had shared the heartbreaking news on her Instagram story, revealing that they were wilting, and she was feeling so sad about it. As any true plant lover would understand, there's an emotional connection that develops with these living, breathing entities, and Brittany was clearly affected by the decline of her beloved green companions. "I've had these two babies since my last apartment for almost 8 years. They have the names Elvira and Joey. Joey is taking the hit more than Elvira at this moment lol, she posted. Her words conveyed a sense of attachment, almost as if Joey and Elvira had been silent witnesses to her journey, sharing moments of joy, struggle, and growth. But Brittany's troubles didn't end with her plant babies. There was another culprit in this plant drama, her newly adopted cat, Lola, who had taken an unexpected interest in her plants. And by interest, Brittany meant that Lola had transformed her plants into her own personal litter box. "Help! My plants are dying and it's breaking my heart," Brittany's post continued. "My cat Lola, love her but started using them as a litter box, and now they aren't thriving to their full potential anymore." It was the kind of frustration that any pet owner, particularly one with a new furry friend, could relate to. You love your pet dearly, but sometimes they seem to have a mind of their own, doing things that make you question their very logic. Lola, the mischievous feline, had entered Brittany's life in November the previous year, and despite her cuteness, she had brought a few challenges along with her. The plants had been caught in the crossfire of Lola's curious nature, and as Brittany discovered, some cats have a tendency to gravitate toward indoor greenery, even if it's not in the most appropriate way. Still, as much as Brittany tried to keep her cool, the reality of losing her plants felt more intense than she had anticipated. Joey and Elvira weren't just decorations. They were part of the essence of her home, part of her grounding after a tough year, and part of the connection she held to the earth and her roots in Kentucky. Thankfully, Brittany wasn't alone in her plight. The Kentucky native took to her Instagram story, asking her followers for help. "What else can I do?" she pleaded. But she also did something that many of her followers appreciated. She kept it real. She wasn't just the picture-perfect influencer showcasing immaculate homes and flawless interiors. She was relatable, open, and transparent about the not-so-glamorous moments of life. Her followers, eager to help, responded with a variety of suggestions. One recommendation was to take some clippings from the plants, place them in water, and wait for the roots to grow. It was a simple, yet effective way of potentially reviving the plants. But as Brittany shared, her dad had already tried this method with little success. "My dad said the same thing and nothing has happened. Maybe it will in time," she admitted with a hint of optimism, even though the situation wasn't ideal. But that's what made her story so relatable. She wasn't just asking for solutions. She was allowing herself to feel sad, to express the frustration, and to hope for a better outcome, even when the results weren't instant. Luckily, Brittany had someone in her corner who knew how to handle things when they seemed out of control, her dad. In a recent trip to Los Angeles, Brittany's dad stepped in with a plan to save the plants. As a man who had worked with his hands for most of his life, the idea of repotting the plants and tending to them in a more hands-on way wasn't unfamiliar to him. "My dad visited recently, and he repotted them both with new soil and fertilizer," Brittany explained on her Instagram. "He placed orange peels and rocks over the top, and she hasn't used it there since. She's back to the litter box lol." It was a win for the plants, and a win for Brittany's peace of mind. The small success was a reminder that sometimes the solutions to our problems aren't always dramatic or instant. They are often about patience and making little adjustments. But even with her father's help, Brittany continued to grapple with how best to bring Joey and Elvira back to their former glory. What more could she do to restore their health? Her heart was still in it, but the process was slower than she hoped. The plants, like many things in life, weren't always going to cooperate at the speed she wanted. As Brittany took a step back, she began to reflect on how much her connection to the plants and to her home had been a thread through her entire journey. Growing up on a farm in Kentucky, Brittany had always felt a deep connection to nature. It wasn't just about plants for her, it was about the lifestyle, the rustic simplicity, and the sense of peace that came with living closer to the earth. In fact, Brittany shared this sentiment with her followers during a recent episode of her podcast briefing on Bravo. I feel like every house that I've lived in, I like to add Kentucky to it, she said, her voice filled with a sense of pride. Like farmhouse vibes, no matter where, it's got to match me. Even though Brittany wasn't quite ready to move back to Kentucky, she still carried a piece of it with her in every home she created. The rustic touches, the earthy tones, and the connection to nature. These things gave her a sense of comfort and identity, no matter where she was. In her Los Angeles home, it was the greenery that brought Kentucky to her, filling her space with life, texture, and a sense of grounding. Despite the struggles with Lola and her plants, Brittany continued to lean into that green thumb of hers, even if it wasn't perfect. In fact, she had always been active with plants,